Hey guys, what's up? Keith here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Lexus TPMS tire pressure monitoring system that is on board in the Lexus RX350, probably some Toyota models as well. This particular situation is a 2007, and I'm sure it applies to a few other model years also. So let's get started. The reason why I decided to do this video is I feel like there's a fair amount of misinformation out there online and YouTube about what to do when your tire light comes on. So in this case, we're talking about this little blinking yellow light, which when it's faulty will actually blink and stay on while you're driving. And there's a lot of talk I'm seeing about running to reset that light right away using the reset button underneath the steering column. And actually, according to Lexus, in this case Lexus Carlsbad, California, they say that that is not what you do. You do not reset that light, because if it is functioning properly, it will reset itself when the problem is corrected, which is typically the tire pressure or sensor, or a couple other things which we're going to talk about. So I thought I would do this video and just go through my situation and what you should do if this light comes on. So the first thing, obviously, before you turn the key, it's just a good thing to know that all of these lights should be coming on normally. That just tells you that they're functioning. The systems are functioning. If you didn't know that, it's a good thing to know for any car you drive, or especially for a used car if you're going to buy one. All those lights should come on, and then when you start the car, of course, they all go off, and that tells you that those systems are functioning. So what happens here, as you may have known if you found this video, is when that light is on, it means that there's something wrong with the tire pressure monitoring system. And other cars that I've had actually will tell you exactly what tire is low. Unfortunately with Lexus, I don't know why they omitted this, but you cannot determine what tire is low. You have to basically figure it out by process of elimination. So let's look at what causes the problem and what you can do about it. The first thing to look for is really easy. Underneath the glove box is a switch which is used to select a different set of tires if you live in a climate where you use snow tires or whatever. And let's take a look at that really quick. So I am under the glove box right now, and you see there is a button there, and it's a little hard to see with the light, but you can see where it says main and second. That's telling you that you could have a second set of tires initialized with this car if you lived in a climate where that was an issue and you wanted to change tires. The only reason this would be an issue that would touch this is if someone accidentally pressed it, like you have kids, or you had the car washed and detailed and someone was under there rubbing and accidentally pressed that button in. That would cause the light to come on, because it would be looking for a second set of tires that isn't on the car and those unique sensors with those tires. But that is not the case usually, so you want to make sure that that is selected as your main set, and if it is, then we move on to the next. I'm now under the driver's side, as you can see, and if you look here, there is some buttons under here, and there's one that says set, and if you notice, that does not say reset. It says set. And as I said, according to Lexus, they are saying you should not have to reset that, that is something you kind of set and forget, because it is a self-correcting system as long as your tires are inflated properly and your sensors are good. So contrary to what I've read online and I see in certain videos, you shouldn't just run and reset this. So again, this is what Lexus Carlsbad was telling me, Carlsbad, California. So if you don't agree, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what they told me, and that this is a self-correcting situation once your tire pressure or your sensors are fixed. So let's talk about what to do. So you've checked that the tire button under the glove box hasn't been accidentally pressed, and you've checked that, what you should check next is tire pressure. So if your pressure's off, this light will stay on right after you start the car, and it will blink. And then in my case, it stayed a solid gold. And so that was an indication that there's a problem somewhere. So here's what actually makes that light, trip. If there is a low tire, and that includes a spare, if it goes under the threshold for whatever it was set at, then the tire light will come on. In my case, the threshold was set by Lexus for 28 pounds. If the pressure falls under 28 pounds, then the light is going to come on. And that's for any of the 4 tires, including the spare. The other reason, as I showed you, was the button under the glove box. And then the final reason would be, it's actually 2 final reasons. If you have a bad sensor in one of the tires, which the sensors are inside the tire on the other side of the valve, so it's nothing that you can service yourself, or if a battery goes bad in the sensor. And then lastly would be if you had your tires worked on recently, or you got tires someplace and they disregarded the initialization process, or they didn't know how to initialize the sensors for the new tires, then that can also cause that light to go off. But I think in most people's case, it's going to be a pressure issue. So let's take a look at that next. So here I am at the door jamb, and it's telling me that for my car, these tires have a 30 psi cold pressure. Okay, you can see right up there in the top column there on the far right, it says cold tire pressure. That is after your car has been sitting, and it's been sitting in a cold garage or whatever. Most of the time, you will be driving it a lot more than that, because when you drive, the tire warms up, it gets warmer outside during the day, and your pressure actually increases naturally. So your actual real pressure could be another 3 pounds or so, 2 to 3 pounds more than that. But then it gets more confusing when you go to the actual tire itself. So if you look at the actual tire, it says, if you can see that, 51 pounds max pressure. Light on that again. So what in the world does that mean? Because Lexus says that you should inflate these tires to about 36 pounds. So what that means is that's the maximum pressure that the tire can hold. Now obviously it'd be outrageous to fill your tires to that much and drive around. It's just telling you that is the max pressure. So what do? You've got cold pressure, you've got max pressure, and you've got the recommended pressure. Well, obviously the recommended pressure is the one that you want to go with, and obviously it's in the middle somewhere. So with these tires on this car, Lexus recommends between 35 and 38 pounds per tire. I think you could probably go a couple pounds more than that and not have a problem. But that's what they recommend for optimal use and, gas mileage and whatnot. So what does this all mean? Well, simply, if your tire light comes on, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that that button wasn't pressed by somebody underneath the glove box that we looked at. That's the one that can be used for main tires or second tires. And so you want it to be on main. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to, with a good tire gauge, check all the tires. Okay, and that includes your spare. And I recommend the digital tire gauges or the round kind. I don't like the stick kind as much unless you get a really good one. The stick kind from your local gas station, the $2 tire gauge, not the greatest gauge. A lot of times they get stuck and they'll give you 3 different readings on 3 different tries. I like the round ones. They're only about $5 or $6 at your discount store or Amazon, and they do a pretty good job. And the way that you know is when you check the tire and you check it 3 times, if you keep getting consistently the same reading every time, you know that that gauge is working pretty good. And of course, you can always verify it at a gas station. But so what I would do is, after you make sure the button isn't pressed in under the glove box, and then you go and check all the tires, make sure that they're inflated properly, and then drive the car. and the light should go off if it was a low tire. And don't forget the spare. If that doesn't fix the situation, then you need to make sure that your tires weren't recently changed by a shop that didn't adjust and reinitialize the sensors, because the only other situation then that could throw the tires sensor light is a bad sensor or a bad battery. And in my case, it was a bad sensor. 2 of them actually, since I've owned this car. So that's it, guys. I hope that clears this up. Again, the point was to just not run out and reset the, or run under the steering column and reset that button, because Lexus says that you really shouldn't. It's a self-monitoring system, and it corrects itself when the pressure's fixed. So basically, the bottom line is, if you've checked all your pressure and you don't have that button accidentally pressed in under the glove box and your light's still on, then you probably have a bad sensor somewhere, is going to be the most common cause. All right, so thanks for watching. Any comments or whatever, go ahead and leave them, and I will respond as soon as I can. Thanks so much. Bye.